Hey guys, in this video I want to quickly talk to you about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, and its use within combat sports, Jiu Jitsu, grappling, MMA, kickboxing, any other combat sport where people might use performance enhancing drugs. Now I'm talking about on a amateur level, recreational level here. Obviously we've got big promotions, big organizations, things like the UFC and other MMA promotions, and probably high level Jiu Jitsu competitions where there are drug tests in place, so people can't take performance enhancing drugs, and that would include TRT. It used to be that people, could compete at the highest level on testosterone. Look at Dan Henderson, Vita Belfort, guys like that who were in the UFC who were on testosterone supposedly. But we're not talking about those organizations where it's clearly a banned substance. I'm talking about regional, local, amateur level competition. Now, as someone who's competed at an amateur level, IBJJF, Euros, no gi, Euros gi, at a master's level, I have definitely competed against people who are on TRT or at least on something. You can tell by looking at these people, you can tell by grappling with these people. The minute you clinch up, you can feel the difference with someone who is clearly much stronger and much more explosive than you are. It could be that they work much harder than I do in the gym, and they are naturally stronger or more explosive, but it's pretty obvious to me. I think you can see someone and you can feel someone who is definitely enhanced in some way. My thoughts on that are, I'm not particularly bothered if they want to do it. It might be that they need to do it because, their testosterone levels are low, or it might be that they just want to do it because they want that increase in gains for whatever reason. Doesn't bother me. I've got the same opportunity to do it if I want. That shouldn't really be the answer, though. That it should be that we're all on a level playing field because we're all natural. But if they're taking something, then I've got that same opportunity to take it. I guess if I want to be as competitive as those people, but I'm not bothered either way. If they want to do it, that's fine. There might be other people in the bracket who are equally, as clean as I am and not doing anything, and they might not like that, but it doesn't particularly bother me. Obviously, there's a risk of injury if I'm competing against someone who's much stronger and much more explosive than I am. Then obviously there's a risk of me being injured. That's not something that I've encountered yet, but I guess that risk is always there. But again, it's not something I particularly worry about. Now, people have asked me in the past, am I taking TRT? Some people have actually accused me, of course you're on something. I'm not, never have, but that's not to say that I wouldn't. I've had blood tests in the past. The GP did blood tests and said my testosterone levels were normal, so I didn't need TRT. I've had private blood tests with a company called Optimail here in the UK. The first test was a finger prick blood test, and it said my testosterone levels were low. Dependent upon the time of the day, it could have been high. If you take it in the morning, it might be that your testosterone levels are high. If you take it in the evening or late afternoon, it might be that they're low. It can fluctuate wildly throughout the day. I can't remember when I did the blood test, but in any case, my testosterone levels were low from that finger prick blood test. When I then ordered an enhanced test and went to the clinic to have blood drawn, my testosterone levels were normal for a man of my age, size, weight, etc. So I didn't need to be prescribed testosterone. That's not to say that I wouldn't benefit from it. I certainly would. I'm sure I'd obviously get an increase in strength. I'd get an increase in probably explosiveness. Performance would undoubtedly go up. Sleep would be much better, I think. Also, injury recovery would be greatly improved from what I've been told from people I know who are taking testosterone, and from what I've read online. Injury recovery will be improved. So there'd be a lot of benefits to me taking testosterone. But there are also side effects. There's things like testicle shrinkage and you know, your virility and your ability to have children, hair loss, mood swings, thickening of the blood. There's all sorts of other side effects that come along with taking testosterone. Do those side effects outweigh the benefits? For me at the moment, probably they do, yeah. I don't really need all of the benefits. I'd like to have better sleep, and I'd like to not feel as in pain from injury and things like that. But other than that, the other benefits don't really, I don't feel that they're great enough to outweigh the risks in my personal circumstances. I don't need to be stronger. I'd like to be stronger. I guess everyone probably wants to be stronger or at least look better in their body. But I don't need to be. Another risk of being stronger is that as your muscles get stronger, your tendons and ligaments don't grow in strength as equally, or elasticity, or their ability doesn't increase the way that your muscle strength increases. So it's easy to be lifting heavier weights, but the load on the tendons and ligaments, it can't keep up. So there's a potential of damaging your ligaments and your tendons. This is something I know from somebody who that's happened to. In fact, two people that's happened to who I know who are on TRT, and both of them have torn tendons, ligaments. And it's from doing research online. I've seen this can be the case as well. I could be way off here on, you know, how frequently that happens. You know, it might not be frequent at all. I need to do more research, but it is a risk. I don't need to have better performance in the confines of the gym. I don't need to be stronger in the gym. I don't need to be faster. I don't need to be more explosive or more dynamic or more athletic. I don't need to have all those things within the confines of the gym. If I am rolling with someone who's much stronger, much bigger, much younger, much more explosive, then I've got the option of either not rolling with that person or sitting out the next round and giving my body time to recover. I don't need to keep pushing myself. I don't need to take any kind of performance enhancing drug just to be better in the gym. When it comes to competition, that's a different story, because, you know, if other people in the competition are on performance enhancing drugs, which in my bracket, Masters 5 or Masters 6 now, undoubtedly some people are. You know, I've competed against people who without question are on TRT, or at least on something that gives them the edge. It gives them strength, it gives them explosiveness, it gives them more endurance. This is noticeable when you clinch up with those people. It's noticeable when you look at these people, but it doesn't particularly bother me. It would be nice if we were all on the same, you know, level. We're all starting, you know, at the same level of strength and endurance and things like that. But naturally, some people are going to be stronger. That goes without saying. But those people who are artificially stronger, more explosive, more dynamic, whatever it is, it doesn't particularly bother me. Now, obviously, there's a risk of injury if I'm competing against someone who's much, much stronger than me, or much more, you know, aggressive or explosive than I am. Then there's obviously that risk of injury. Fortunately, touch wood, I've not been injured in competition because of that. But obviously there's also, you know, I am at a disadvantage. So the likelihood of winning in a bracket where, you know, other people are enhanced in some way, obviously there's a disadvantage. My chances of winning are probably decreased quite a lot competing against people who are, you know, enhanced. But it doesn't bother me. There might be other people in the bracket who are equally as clean as me, not taking anything, you know what, not on any supplements per se, who might be annoyed or angry or upset by the fact that the people they're competing against are not doing it naturally. But for me, it doesn't really bother me. If I was to take testosterone, the only reasons I would take it are for that benefit in sleep, the benefits for injury recovery, and the benefits within competition, performance increase within competition. At the moment, I'm not competing. I was planning on doing the Euros at the end of the month, but I hurt my hand a couple of weeks ago, and initially I was told it was broke. Then I was told it was soft tissue after 2 x-rays. So I don't know what's going on with it, but in any case, it's put me out of the competition. That might not be a bad thing. My friend who does take testosterone has told me that if I got on testosterone, that would probably repair much quicker and I'd feel brand new if I was to take it. But the side effects of testosterone far outweigh the benefits for me at the moment. I think the biggest fear for me is this increased thickness in the blood. Whether that would have a knock-on effect on the heart, I don't know. I need to research that more. My heart rate fluctuates wildly at the moment. I've often got a high heart rate. Blood pressure is quite high, so I don't think I want to potentially risk that getting any worse by taking testosterone. Although again, people I know have said that since taking testosterone, their cholesterol is lowered and their blood pressure is lowered. So again, it's something I need to research. But that's kind of where we're at the moment. That's my thoughts on TRT. You know, and I've kind of done this video because people have asked me either in person in the gym, via email, on this channel. People have asked me about TRT, whether I'm taking it, whether they should take it, what my thoughts are on people who take it. So I thought I'd just share with you my thoughts here. Whether you should take it, you know, for those people who've asked me directly, would I recommend it? I can't say, because you know, it's your decision. I wouldn't recommend it or not recommend it. You know, it's entirely your decision. What I can say is people I know who are taking it swear by it and say they wouldn't have it any other way. But there are probably people out there who would tell you the opposite as well. You know, there are people who have major health problems from taking TRT. More often than not, it's the people who are taking 5, 6, 7 times the recommended dose that they should be taking. But in any case, there will be people who say, definitely don't take it. And there will be people who say, definitely take it. So that choice is yours. Do your own research, you know, have a look online, speak to medical professionals, people in the know, before you inject anything into your body, whether that be from an official source or an unofficial source. I would always make sure that you do as much research as you can. Anyway, let me know in the comments, are you taking TRT? Have you taken it and then you think that it's really bad and you won't be taking it ever again? Are you considering taking it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you again in the next one.